Well, you look at this. Middle Georgia is finally getting a dose of snow, and it's actually sticking. It just started about 7 o'clock this morning, and it didn't look like much, but it's actually picking up. Hey guys, I'm Chris, your real estate problem solver. Today is kind of chilly, so we're staying inside today, but if you're a first-time home buyer, then you're going to need to know how to take care of your house. And that means when the winter comes, which is right about now, it's time to go out and check your house, make sure that everything's ready. And so you've got minimal problems this winter when it starts to get really freezing. Now, Middle Georgia is not such a big thing, but when you get farther north, this is going to be a lot more important. So come on, let's go outside and take a look at a few things that you can do to make sure that your house is ready for the winter time. You ready to go, Pepper? So when you're going around your house, take a look at the eaves and the soffits around the roof lines, and look at stuff like this right here. This is not a big deal right now, but that bare wood can get moisture, and if that moisture freezes, it's going to start cracking and splitting your wood. So now would be a good time to go ahead and clean this up and repaint it and get it ready for winter. And I also can't stress enough, during the winter time, you want your house to have plenty of ventilation, so having your trees and shrubs touching the house is going to end up holding moisture, and that moisture is going to freeze and cool, and it's going to cause mold, and that's going to damage your house. So make sure that if you've got any brush or any shrubbery near the house, make sure to trim it back away from the house and let at least about a foot away from the house, so it's got some air ventilation and it helps keep your house dry and mold free. So if your house is wood siding or even vinyl siding, make sure to inspect all the way around and make sure that everything is still in good shape. If you've got stuff like this right here, you're definitely going to have problems. So you want to go ahead and replace those boards, and you can have this on a vinyl siding house too, because plastic is exposed to sunlight. It's going to dry rot and it's going to break, especially if you've got rocks getting thrown by the lawnmower, or the weed eater is cutting holes in it. Stuff like that, it damages down here at the base and the bottom. You're going to want to go ahead and get those pieces replaced now, because like I said, the longer you have moisture going underneath there, the more it's going to freeze and cool. It's going to cause mold, and it's going to cause rot for any wood that's exposed under there. Or it could end up looking like this. Now, another part you might want to think about, especially if you're out in the rural areas and you have your own water well, like this one, cover up your lines. Now, covering up your lines can be anywhere from wrapping up the pipe itself to building a utility building to protect them. Now, this one's got some insulation around inside of it, so it kind of helps keep it up. And we get down to 10 degrees at least once or twice a winter, so it doesn't have that kind of a problem to freeze up. But with it being inside of a building, it keeps the outside air from getting to it and causing it to freeze. So if you're on city water and city sewer, then you're probably not going to have too many exposed lines to the weather. But if you're out in the country, then chances are you're going to have a well and a septic, which means you're going to have exposed lines like this. Well, lucky for us, they make a wrap like this that you can actually put around, and all it is just a wrap, and all you do is just cut it. Oops, sorry. All you have to do is just cut it up and wrap it around the water tank, and that takes care of the water tank itself. And then of course they've got the things that look like noodles that you go swimming with that are in the back that you can wrap around the pipes to cover them up. So we're going to take care of this one real quick. So let's see how fast we can do this. Now, when you've got lines like this that are in a shed, but it's kind of a metal shed, it's not getting a whole lot of shelter and not a lot of insulation, it'd probably be a good idea to go ahead and wrap the pipes and wrap the tank as well. So just 1-inch piping wrapped around everything that's exposed all the way out down into the ground is going to make sure that you've got good insulation and make sure that your pipes don't freeze up. So let's take care of this right here real quick. Now, if your house has got a full basement, then it might not be such a big deal for this one. But once the lines come in underneath the house, if you're in a crawl space, then that means it's not an occupied area, it's not heated or cooled, then it's exposed to the weather too. And if it gets really cold, even the pipes underneath can get frozen. Now, our house, we've got 1.5 inch pipe going all throughout the area outside, but once it gets inside, then it drops down to 3/4 or 1/2 inch. So just like a radiator, it has small lines, so it dissipates heat fast. It can also freeze fast. So once you get underneath, check your lines like these right here, and make sure not the not the drain line, the pressure lines, the water lines. Make sure that they've got some insulation wrapped around them, because if they're in a crawl space and they step down to a 1/2 inch or a 3/4 line, those are especially susceptible for freezing. And also, while you're underneath your house, make sure you check through the insulation and make sure there's not any holes or open spots or areas where the insulation has fallen down, because that's going to take care of a lot of the freezing problems that you may have underneath the house. Also, go into your attic and do a full inspection of all the insulation upstairs. Now, a lot of houses, especially the newer built houses, they're going to have blown insulation, the blown cotton, which is all well and good. I mean, it's a good insulation. It's okay, but it's not the greatest. So if you can get some extra insulation blown in there, you can actually rent a blower from, I think it's Home Depot or Lowe's, and they've got all the cotton, so you can blow in some extra cotton. I would at least do about 15 inches thick to make that stuff actually work like it should. They've also got the Pink Panther rollout fiberglass, and a new one that has been around for a little while is the closed cell spray foam. Now, this house has actually got spray foam in the attic, and I'll go up and show you that in a second. But that stuff is really good, and it does an excellent job of making sure your house is insulated for the winter. Okay, next you want to check up in your attic. Now, in this particular house, this has actually got spray foam insulation in here. This has been sprayed. This is probably something for more of a new construction house, because it's kind of difficult to spray this into a house that's already been built and finished up. But talk to a contractor if you're interested. But this stuff is really good. It's like an R30, and they spray the rafters right underneath the shingles, and then the base of it, the ceiling joists, are actually left open, so it encapsulates from the rafter down. Now, your regular Pink Panther insulation or your spray cotton is going to be actually on the ceiling tiles or ceiling joists and on top of your drywall here. So this is, if you've got that, that's going to be, this is a 10-inch board, so you're going to want at least 12 to 15 inches thick in insulation. And if you've got any areas that are kind of thin, you might want to rake it out and respray it and make sure that you've got enough insulation for the winter time. Now, another big tip for winterizing your house is make sure that your gutters are all cleaned out. Right now it's fall time, leaves are dropping, leaves are getting on the roof, the rain's coming in, all that's going to get washed into your gutters. So make sure that those gutters are clean and the downspouts have been cleaned out. Isn't that right, Pepper? Okay, just making sure.
Stand by for a bonus tip.
Now, if you have gutters on your house, then you're going to have downspouts around the house. Now, if you're in an area where you might have a frequent power outages due to bad weather, there might be a way that you can get water without having to worry about being out of electricity. Now, in my situation, I've actually got areas around my house where the pipes had to be bent out away from the wall to the foundation wall, and they had to cut it. So I can actually take this off and add a barrel to it. Now, when the rain comes in, then the downspout fills up the barrel, and I've got water for washing dishes, flushing the toilets, and stuff like that. But you can actually, if you don't have something set up like this, you can actually cut the line here, wherever you want to, right above the barrel, Squeeze it in a little bit here, squeeze it in a little bit here. Sorry. Let's try that again. You can squeeze it in a little bit here, squeeze it in a little bit here, make this small enough to slide down in. So all you're doing is cut, reduce, and then slide the pipe in. Now the bottom is going to get raised up about, that however much you overlap them. And then you just screw it in and screw your retainer back in. So that might be an easy way for you to have a downspout accessible to put a barrel under, and you can have water when you've got power outages. Now it might come as a surprise, but one thing that may help your house in the wintertime is actually taking care of your plants around the house, mulching them. Now this little trick might not be such a big deal for the southern states, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia. Now we're in Georgia, but at the same time we still do get down to freezing temperatures. This is especially good for houses that are on a crawl space. Now a slab foundation is not going to have such a big impact because it's a solid slab of concrete right on the ground. But for a crawl space where you've got a foot by foot footer, and then the pillars and the pilings and the walks coming up from that, when ice freezes it expands, and when it expands it can push on those walls and it can cause some problems. Now I know we're talking about winterizing the house, but surprisingly enough, if you think about it, when you get around the house, part of what you're fixing is also keeping up with the foundation. And this mulch right here actually is all leaves and sticks, and is biodegrading and decomposing, and that creates heat. And surprisingly enough, that heat can get up to 10 degrees warmer than the surrounding air, which means even though the air is freezing and it's freezing out in the yard and you may have snow, if you'll notice some houses that have a thick layer of mulch around the house, there won't be snow on top of the mulch, but there'll be snow out in the grass area. Well, that's because that mulch is producing the heat, and that heat is keeping your foundation from freezing. Well, I hope you find these tips for winterizing your house useful, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. But if you've got any questions, or if you've got a house that you want to sell, or you're looking for a house to buy, make sure to give me a call, 478-256-9877. I'll talk to you on the next one.